Whatever happened with the Miami Mall incident?
New Year's 2024, Bayside Marketplace Mall in Miami. Mass panic over alleged sighting of 8-foot-tall shadow aliens. Literally 50 police cars show up and surround the mall. Videos of the massive police presence outside all over TikTok.
Police claim the actual cause of the disturbance was 50 teens setting off fireworks and causing a riot. No footage of this. No cell footage. No more security footage. No body cam footage. Swiftly memory hold. What happened? Paranormal event.
It was impossible to record, but everyone saw it. Some still think they were hallucinating.
It was a collective hallucination. This is one of the few modern events that genuinely feels impossible to hand-wave away.
It's obvious that something happened here, and it wasn't a riot.
Heard a couple of accounts of 10-foot-tall aliens made of shadow.
Could be people playing off each other, or could be more. I remember a Facebook post from shortly after the event saying she saw shadows appearing and disappearing rapidly. My guess is interdimensional beings. 10 teens getting in a fight doesn't warrant 50+ police vehicles, 100+ officers. My small Midwest mall had a small quote-unquote riot like 15 years ago, and you can still find loads of clips on the internet if you look. Where is all the footage of this event?
I was at the Bayside Marketplace on New Year's Day. To those who don't know, something unexplainable happened that night.
Something that the authorities covered up and put off as teens starting a riot.
While I wish that were the case, it's far from the truth.
I don't know if putting this out there is the best idea, but I can't hold my tongue any longer. You see, I'm a construction worker in the Miami area. While I don't have any children of my own,
I have a little sister who means the world to me. She's an honor student with straight A's who's about to go off to university. While I spent my youth staying in trouble, she studied hard. And before she leaves, I wanted to do something nice for her.
That evening when I got off of work, I planned to go to the mall and buy her a nice handbag.
Little did I know, something happened there that changed my entire life.
As I pulled into the parking lot, the moon shone bright in the sky.
Cars were parked as far as the eye could see, though this was nothing new.
As places like this constantly stayed
packed, I walked in still wearing my dirty uniform with my name tag printed on the chest. People filled the floor, shopping and celebrating the new year with friends. I wasn't much of a shopper, so Earl planned to grab the bag and go.
I walked into the store and saw the many purses they had in stock.
Some wore price tags that climbed into the tens of thousands. While I did admire my genius little sis, I didn't love her that much. I could feel the eyes on me as I looked around. This place was usually for a higher class of people.
But regardless, I found one that was within a reasonable price range.
It was white and had one of those famous designers' names embroidered onto it. It seemed perfect for a nice-looking young girl like her. I grabbed it and walked over to the register to pay. The preppy woman had a look in her eye like she was afraid to touch me. But it didn't matter. I was proud of my sister, and she deserved to be rewarded. After she bagged the purse up, I was ready to leave.
But that's when it happened.
Saw people running in droves,
their faces filled with terror and shock.
Not looking back no matter what.
I walked into the confusion to see what was going on.
That's when I saw them, strange shadow-like creatures walking through the mall. There were about 5 of them.
And they all had to be at least 12 feet tall.
All slinking around like creatures from a sci-fi film. With a fight or flight response, I turned to join the crowd in running,
dropping my sister's purse like it was yesterday's trash. But as I began running, one of those creatures towered above me.
I stood frozen in terror. The entity looked down on me with purple orb-like eyes.
Before I knew it, I began to float up into the air.
The
strange being lifted me high enough to match eyes with it.
The smog-like substance it seemed to be made of began flooding my mouth and nose.
I thought I was a goner, but oddly enough I could still breathe. In my head, however, my mind began playing my thoughts like a movie. From my childhood all the way to my adult years.
All the good, the bad. I relived it all in a single moment.
At first I thought it was my life flashing before my eyes, but I soon realized that this being was watching with me, learning everything it could, even going through my darkest and most vulnerable thoughts.
After what seemed like forever, I was placed safely back on the ground.
I then stood in shock as the smoky creature slinked away and disappeared,
joining the other creatures that had invaded the sprawling shopping center.
Once it was over, I sprinted out of the mall, honestly feeling violated and terrified by this whole experience. Outside, cop cars lined the streets in an unbelievable turnout.
There was no doubt in my mind they had to be preparing for war,
in an attempt to protect and drive these horrible invaders away. But sadly, I would be sorely mistaken. As time passed, I began to hear them talking about a riot being started, that a bunch of teenagers were throwing fireworks and fighting.
I was naturally confused. There were never any rowdy kids.
But sadly, I would be sorely mistaken. As time passed, I began to hear them talking about a riot being started, that a bunch of teenagers were throwing fireworks and fighting.
I was naturally confused. There were never any rowdy kids. After a few days passed, things only got worse. The media had completely blamed this on teenagers,
with everyone making jokes about what really happened.
I even heard of people's phones being confiscated before videos could be posted. Meanwhile, I had to start going to therapy, as the nightmares I had became unbearable.
In my dreams, I would be wandering aimlessly through a barren and cold world.
It was filled with the same gigantic smoke-like beings. I watched them creep around, feeling like I was trapped.
Every morning, I would wake up in a cold sweat, terrified but thankful that I was at home.
I told my therapist about this, but he tried searching for a more logical explanation,
saying that maybe I fell and hit my head during all the confusion.
But that's not what happened. We'll never forget what I saw that day. The media and everyone can believe what they want, but I know what I saw. I've never believed in stuff like this, but it was real, and I fear every day that I might run into one of those things again. Not just that, but I shudder every time I recall that entity invading my mind.
If anyone out there isn't afraid, share your story. They can't hide the truth forever.
Does X know of the Virgin Heart incident?
It's most possibly the most detailed documentation of aliens on Earth and alien interaction with humans.
Virgin High UFO incident is the name given to a series of events involving the alleged sighting and capture by the military of an extraterrestrial being in Varginha, Brazil, in 1996. Such reports were first broadcast on the Sunday TV show Fanstico of Rede Globo, and quickly gathered extensive media coverage worldwide, including an article in the Wall Street Journal, and has become since then the most famous case in modern Brazilian ufology. According to media reports, the creature was first sighted by three women ranging from 14 to 21 years old, sisters Liliane and Valkyria Eftima Silva, and their friend KTI Andrade Xavier.
They allegedly saw the creature in the afternoon of January 20th, 1996. A biped about 1.6 meters 5 feet, with a large head and very thin body, with V-shaped feet, brown skin, and large red eyes.
It seemed to be wobbly or unsteady, and the girls assumed it was injured or sick.
Witnesses who have noted physical similarities between this alleged creature and the chupacabra, a cryptozoological creature reported in Puerto Rico, Central America, and Mexico.
The Silva sisters say they fled, then told their mother that they had seen the devil. She didn't believe them at first, but when she went to the area where they had allegedly seen the creature and smelled a strong ammonia-like odor, her opinion changed.
After relating their tale to family and friends, rumors began to spread throughout the city. UFOs were sighted, aliens were captured.
2 days later, another creature was allegedly found lying along a road. You left out the part where the UFOs attacked villagers and started zapping them with lasers.
You also left out the part where every witness described something totally different. Green eyes, red eyes, 6 toes, 3 toes, wings, horns, etc., etc.
In regards to the wasteland creature, an official inquiry led by the Brazilian military authorities revealed in 2010 that the Silva sisters had actually came across a homeless, mentally unstable man, nicknamed Mudinho, covered in mud, and that the military trucks were operating in their normal schedule that night. Mudinho.
Brazilian here. I think that Brazil has a few of the best and most well-documented cases of UFOs and the alien hypothesis. Cases like the Opero Prato and Noite Official dos OVNIs no Brasil are even better than the Rendlesham Forest case. But on topic, the Varginha incident is just as good as Roswell's, which means that there's absolutely physical nothing to it.
In fact, let me get this straighter. Varginha is actually much better than Roswell.
You have a couple of poor farmers that had no formal education describe something that looked like a submarine that leaked clouds and made no sounds 1 week prior to the sightings.
There were dozens of sightings of UFOs in Virginia during the same week, many recorded by video. The three most reliable eyewitnesses never said they saw an alien. They continue to state to this day that they do not know what they saw, and thought in fact that it was a demon.
Pic related. Some 3D art I'm working on to illustrate the sighting.
Another eyewitness saw a similar creature in the city zoo. That very same week, 5 big animals died of complication in the digestive system, which is very odd and rare. A 23-year-old policeman confessed to have taken part in the capture of a creature that scratched his back and under his arm.
He died within the week of an infection that could not be identified. The 3 girls and their close family were visited by foreign men in suits that offered a bright future and a lot of money, cars, college if the girls went to the media and say that they were lying about what they saw.
Roswell is just some people think 40 years after the incident. Hey, remember when the USAID said they got a flying saucer? What if it was for reals? The best documentation on the case only has 7 first-hand eyewitnesses. None of them say anything alien-related, just materials that really were out of their reality. Here is a larger version of the image. The reply created of the alien the 3 eyewitnesses say they saw.
Let's discuss some obscure alien encounters.
Pic related on October 25, 1974. Carl Higdon decided to go elk hunting when his employee at the oil field called in sick. After talking to some hunters whose van had broken down, he decided to check out the Medicine Bow National Forest east of Saratoga, Wyoming.
Locating a group of 5 elk and firing at one, he noticed his bullet faking slowly to the ground.
Puzzled, he was startled to see this being approaching and asking how he was doing. Calling itself also one, the strange being floated, offered Carl a food pill, and was described as over 6 tall, chinless, with spiky hair, antennae-like features, with 3 large teeth, small eyes, no ears, no hands, but a spike on its right arm.
And wearing a wetsuit with a belt and cross straps across its chest. After some small talks and a visit to another world, Carl was dropped off near his relocated truck in need of rescue.
Disoriented and scared, he radioed for help and was soon joined by authorities and his wife. The only proof of his encounter was a spent bullet that looks like it went through a hard object, and X-rays showing that the scars on his lungs from tuberculosis he had 20 years prior had vanished. Here is a better look at the image the OP posted of an illustration of the strange being. Interesting OP. Yep. And it is interesting how nonchalant it was when it met the guy. It just asked him how he was doing. Really seems like standard 60s alien looks, and I'd probably discard it if not for the bullet and lung scars missing. Any more info on the planets he visited? I don't know exactly. One source said he did not remember at all what happened.
I'll look into it. I'm back, and there is some more details I glossed over. Carl and I saw one boarded a cube-looking ship where he was made to take a pill. When the ship started, he felt really messed up.
He ended up on a planet where there was a tower similar to Seattle Space Needle.
They landed, I think, and also said they was 163,000 light miles from Earth. Here is another obscure case from Japan in the middle of the night. They are known as the Kitami abductors. A farmer had a knock at his door and saw a strange alien that is described to resemble a starfish and octopus combined. It wore a clear vinyl suit over its body, and it was not quite humanoid. Later on, it was said their clothes resembled plastic.
Here is a better look at the image the replier posted along with this story. Here is another obscure alien encounter. A woman was driving on Interstate 75 when her engine, power brakes and steering quit.
No UFO was seen, but a small metallic man appeared after she had pulled the car to the roadside.
It had a bubble dome head with rectangular eye openings. The head moved like a robot. From the elbows down, the arms were narrow and wrinkled. Like a chicken's legs, it moved around the car, then was gone. Afterwards, she found the engine bellowing smoke and the hood intensely hot. Wept in 1973 year of the humanoids. Here is a better look at the image the OP posted showing an illustration of the creature described in this encounter.
A couple were driving down Carmel Road in Ohio back in December 12, 2014.
The husband was a former Marine. They drove by around a curve past the Carmel Church before encountering a strange creature run across the road into the woods ahead.
They almost hit the creature.
The thing was described as being grey, have gangly muscular legs that bent backwards at the knee, around 7 feet tall, and a narrow torso. It had no identifiable head or arms. Here is the image the OP uploaded along with this story. There's a similar story like this in the book Encounters with Star People, Untold Stories of American Indians. There was a doctor that was driving one night, and out of nowhere he accidentally hit a deer with his car. As soon as he stepped out to check on it, he said it literally shapeshifted into a tall humanoid being.
The doctor asked if the being was okay. It replied saying he's also a doctor and already quickly healed himself.
The doctor then made some telepathic small talk with the being, mentioning that there are many Earth-like planets and that Earth is one of few with so much animal diversity. The doctor didn't really finish his story in the book, though, since he was on his break while telling the author his encounter. That's all for this video, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed.
Please subscribe for more content like this in the near future.
A link to donate to help support the channel is in the description.
Until next time, the Alley Ghost.